Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back here with Avondale Studio, Avondale Design Studio, that is from Houston, Texas. Rebecca Grotte joins us here once again as an interior designer, and she's going to have a great show today. We're talking about space planning, but we always have a good time here today. It's avondaledesignstudio.com, and she specializes in residential and commercial interior design. Welcome to the show today. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well.
Good.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about the company. New time listeners, tell us a little bit about what you do, especially those in the Houston area. You work with them one on one.
Yes, so I'm a residential interior designer and I specialize in anything that has to do with the interiors of your home. We can come in and on any portion of projects, we can come in on a new build or on, say, even if you've been in your house for 20 years, we can come in and refresh your space, help you out with furnishings, lighting, rugs. We can do remodeling. We do there's a lot of things that we do. We specialize also in custom furniture, custom drapery, custom pillows. We do all those things.
Great. Well, it's exciting to have you back here. And the website again is avondaledesignstudio.com. Do you have a contact number you want to share before we begin as well?
Sure. My number is 803-565-3101.
Awesome. And what did you have in mind for us today? What did you want to talk about in particular?
So today I wanted to do an episode just on space planning and why space planning is important to the design process. And a lot of people don't realize that, whenever it comes to interior design, that not we don't just decorate the shell of the house, but we also what we like to do first is to actually plan the space. So the reason why this is important is because a lot of times people will end up buying first without considering how much space they actually have
Mm-hmm.
to put these items, or they'll end up buying the wrong size, or like say, for example, the wrong size rugs or the wrong size sofa,
Mm-hmm.
and thinking that, oh, I really like this piece, but not really thinking or understanding that like maybe it doesn't fit in the room. And then also sometimes we're coming in on a project, say that a homeowner has upgraded to like a larger house, for example, that they've bought a new house, and so they have a house full of furniture, but maybe their new house is another 2,000 square feet.
Oh.
And we're coming in to try to help them to fill in the blanks and using their existing furniture and uh, the space that those things take up, and then applying them into a new space. So either way, we like to start out with the space plan first because it's more about the functionality and making sure that you're not, the common mistake is that people will buy before they think through exactly what they need. So this is why it's important. I mean, we just think that it's an important step because for budgeting purposes and um, just to give people options on, like, maybe you've been in the house for 20 years and you've looked at the same arrangement for 20 years and you can't see it outside of like what you've been looking at for 20 years, and you just need a new eye to come in and kind of rearrange things or take things out and add things. So space planning is very fundamental to what we do, uh, especially if we're coming in on a project where there's a lot of a lot of empty space and they need to fill in the blanks. So we don't want to waste money or waste budget on um, doing that without really taking a good look at actual space, where the windows are, where, because things like that matter too, like the window placement. Um, for example, like you don't want, you not usually going to want to put your bed right in front of the window or something like that. So we take all of those things into consideration. And the first the first aspects of the space planning is where we actually go in and measure the space, and we take actual dimensions and we draw it into a space plan in AutoCAD. So this is, I guess I'll share my screen.
Please,
Um,
let's do that. Yeah, because
sure.
we just experimented before the show, guys. So forgive us if it doesn't work out. But yeah, she has these great spatial plans. We want to show them. So let's share that screen. And this will be awesome show. We get to actually see the basics of space planning and, of course, her designs here. Perfect. Look at us. Good job. All right. So let's
Okay,
talk. So
let's see, let me move it down a little bit so you can see.
let me see the whole thing. Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Make it a little smaller.
Okay, there we go.
Perfect.
Okay, so what I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you three different plans for the same space. So you can kind of see what we usually do is we'll come in, and this is an actual place that we worked on, and it's an oddly shaped room. So it's
Okay.
really long, and it has these windows right here
Do
on
you
the,
have the measurements of it? Like what are, just curious, do you know how many feet by what it is about?
um, I'm not quite sure, but it's over 30 feet long. Is a really long room.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when you're space planning a room that's this big, sometimes the the issue that a lot of people have is like not understanding, like, do I divide it into two spaces? Do I, um, where are my walkways going to be? And these are all things that we consider whenever we start to plan a space. So in this version of the plan, we've got like the TV area here. Can you see my cursor? I don't know
Yep,
if you
I see it.
can.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so we've got like the TV area. We have this large, like custom um, sofa that we've made, and then we split off this other area into like a little seating area with four chairs, a cocktail cabinet. These right here are lamps, and then this indicates drapery right here. And so what you're seeing here is that like this right here is your natural like walkway. This goes into another space, and then this goes into another room over here.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're doing is putting actual pieces of furniture to size to make sure that that these pieces all are going to fit in the space. So a lot of times someone, maybe they already have these four chairs, or they already have this cabinet, and that's part of the first, whenever we first go to their house and we measure everything, we also take a measurement and inventory of their furniture, like what their actual furniture sizes are, because most people are going to include things that they already have. Most
Yeah.
people are not starting off with absolutely nothing. So we add, those type of things to the space. So I'll show you, let's see, this plan compared to plan two. So let's see, it's similar in orientation, but now you've got a sofa and a love seat. And then you've got this area here with two wingback chairs and a bench, a coffee table. So it's still, we're delineating two spaces, but this one has two different rugs. We've got a custom sized rug over here, and then we've got a smaller rug over here. In the first plan, I don't know if you noticed, but it was one large rug. And whenever we're going into a room of this size, a lot of times we have to make a custom rug for them because they're just so big. But this, so in this plan, we've got, it's basically like it's the same room, but what we like to show our clients is that we want to show them a few different ways that we can set up the space. And in the other plan, we had a cabinet over here. This one, we've got a couple side chairs. Um, and then we've got lamps, tables, bar cart behind this little sofa here. And let's see, in the third plan, you can see we've switched the orientation of the room. So now we've got the sofa over here on this side, and then the TV on this side. And this, again, this room was so long, we had to make sure that we have another, basically another seating area over here. And this is like a hide rug. So basically,
Beautiful.
we show our clients at least 3 plans. It depends on the on the project, but usually we show at least 3, sometimes 4, but we don't. We usually choose. We go back. We come up with as many as we can, and then we edit down to like 3 plans most of the time, so that it is easier for the client to digest, like the best use of the space.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so basically, after we come up with these plans, we present them to the client, and then this is basically the foundation of like how we get started on actually, sorry, I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
kind of lost in my screen here. Um, so this is so once we show them these different options, we also talk through, this is whenever we kind of get to know the client, and we say, how does that person actually live? Do they have kids? Do they have dogs? Like, is it important for there to be a walkway in a certain place? And then having the solid plan to begin with helps us then to go into the next phase of which would be budgeting for, say say they only have half the pieces that are in this plan. Like, we have to come up with the rest of the plan to kind of fill in what would fill the room up, you know. And so this is basically the foundation of how we start to budget. And we do all of these things, and we outline each item. So say in this, for example, we'll put in actual numbers. The next phase would be to put in the actual numbers, like, okay, this is about how much a sofa is going to be. You need 3 side tables, 2 swivel chairs, 2 wingback chairs, and this creates like a solid foundation for setting up the room. And this is how we get started in every project, really.
Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, just curious. So, like, these are like obviously pictures. Now, do you also responsible for giving them pictures of, hey, this is the coffee table I think we like. This is the sofa I think you like. I know these are generic, but like, do you also offer that, or does that part come first? So you have the size of all the equipment.
So this is the size of everything comes first, and then the style comes second. So that's what, yeah, and we will show them the next phase of the design process is what we call style sheets. So then we take whichever plan that they like the most, or sometimes they may say, well, I like this part here, but from the other plan, I want a hide rug or whatever, and then we
Mm-hmm.
make the modifications to um, the plan to make sure that it's exactly what they want. And then, yeah, the second part of it is the style. So these are 2 different phases of the design process. So the space planning aspect is the first phase of the design process for the way that I do that the process that I do, how I design.
Good to know. Thank you so much. All right. And by the way, let's remind everyone how we can reach out to you.
It's okay. My email address is Rebecca at AvondaleDesignStudio.com. And my website is www.avondaledesignstudio.com. And I'm also on Instagram at Avondale Design Studio.
Awesome, awesome. Again, we're talking about the basics of planning here with our interior designer, based out of Houston, Texas. I know most of your work is probably there, but you also do virtual work as well for those nationwide, correct?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. So you mentioned, you draw these plans and it's called AutoCAD. So you got to draw it all to scale after you do the proper measurements. And then you also create not just one, but multiple plans for people to see, right?
Yes.
Awesome. And this is just now is you I know you have more plans. Is this all the same? It's going to be the same space. We're going to show different styles, or are there different plans for different venues that you've done? Let me see. If you scroll down, because I know I got a few of them this morning. Is that the
So
next
this
and the
is,
next?
yeah, no, this is all for I'm
The
just showing
same space. All right, good, good, good.
three different options, for example, that we would show to a client so that
Perfect.
they can see it, try to visualize it in a different way. So this, yeah, and then let's see, that's the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also important for us to make sure that we have the sizes correct and to scale because, you know, like for example, these windows were always kind of like in an odd, I mean, they're the only windows in that place,
Mm-hmm.
in that particular room, but it gives us it gives us like the opportunity to show like, okay, what are we going to do in front of this
Yeah.
odd space? Because you have this doorway, this walk, basically like a natural walkway here where this door is. And do we just put a cabinet? Do we put chairs? Do we put, because the windows were, there were floor to ceiling windows because this is one that was in a high rise. And so that's the beauty of that unit was that these windows were very grand and beautiful, but how much of it do we want to block, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't put something there, you have this huge void empty space. And so we did end up putting some swivel chairs there that were low backed so that they were not obstructing the view too much. But let's see. Yeah, I think that's with the space planning, this is about, I didn't want to bring too many plans because to overwhelm. But
No, but I love to see how it's done. And let me just ask, so these are, what do we call these? What type of plans? We call them what?
space plans.
Space plans. Thank you so much. Now, do people, besides space plans, do they also want the 3D rendering type of plan? I don't know what you call that, but to actually move around to see, to move the furniture, like, do you offer that option as well?
We the only time that I usually do something in 3D is if we're working on a kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it doesn't it doesn't seem to be that type of 3D stuff takes a lot longer. Um, and we usually only use that when we need to.
Mm-hmm.
So the bird's eye view usually gives a person enough of an idea, you know. Now I can build a model and I can make it into 3D, but it's usually the clients don't really see as much value in that unless it's for a kitchen as far as the time spent. So, I mean, it's possible. I mean, I can do it, but
Yeah,
most of the time we just work in the 2D space.
got it. Awesome. So you give them the options, right? And then from there, they usually choose one, or can you even tweak some of those options? If they say, hey, what about, I don't like that swivel chair there. I just want one swivel chair, maybe the side table on the side of, so then this is where you get your groundwork from. And what's the next step with space planning after this is done?
So after this is done, yeah, we'll make any modifications to the plan, like if they want to switch some things around. And then the next portion is to basically inventory all of the items that are needed. So say, for example, they already have the sofa and the love seat and two side tables. Okay, well, we need to budget for another side table, two swivel chairs, two floor lamps, a credenza. And so we basically put all of the items that are going to be in that room, we put them out into like a budget. That's how we start to budget for the next phase, so that people, they know exactly how many pieces that they need, or if it's even possible for them to, you know, fill the room at the time, because sometimes
Hmm.
we may be space planning the entire house,
Yeah.
but they may only want to do one room at a time. And then so after we lay out each, piece that needs to be bought, then we go into actually looking for those items. So say if they already have the existing sofa, we've got a picture of it. We know we're within certain color scheme, for the chairs or whatever. So that's when, after we do this, we'll go into the style portion, which is a completely, when we start to actually look for the items, and we give them, again, on the style portion, we give them a few options too of different. So basically, we give them different options of what pieces that we would suggest look good together.
Got it. But sometimes I'm sure people also have their own styles or stuff in mind. They bring you magazine clippings, right? Or they send you pictures
Yeah.
of stuff they see online, and then you're like, oh, that's not going to work, or that can. But so, and as much as the client's input as possible, some designers, though, let me ask, some designers, you hire them and they do the work and that's kind of it. And they want their own design. But some people want their own hands-on, their likes, their taste, their preferences, right? So do you work with both options? Do some people want to put the thought process into it and pick, or is it some people actually leave you fully responsible for, like, hey, I'm thinking about this, take it away, you're the professional? How often, more than times, do you work with different clients that sometimes want everything just done, or is it most of the time they
Well,
want to have some input?
yeah, most of the time our clients want to have input, and that's why we usually give them a few different options to look at. Um, the best options that we see suitable for the space, as far as the functionality. And most people want to be involved, and that's why, that's how I generally work. I like for my clients to be involved, because it's helpful for me to know that they're pleased with what we're putting in front of them. You know,
Mhm.
I've rarely had an occasion that somebody just said, do it, and just let me loose. That doesn't usually happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the next phase, you mentioned you would get all the elements together and give them the examples. And then, how long of a process is this? So someone comes to you, you actually come and do the measurements yourself for the space?
Yes.
Okay. And then
Mhm.
what is the process to get the space plan even up there?
So it usually takes us, it could take us a couple hours to measure everything out. And then we, these meetings, like the first meeting after we do the measurements, is the space planning meeting, which we're only showing the the bird's eye view of the space, so that they can kind of digest, like, okay, is this exactly what we want to do, and go through any alterations there. And then the next meeting would be for the style. So that's, I guess maybe that's what I'll show next time, is
Yeah,
how
that'd be a great idea. Perfect segue to the
through.
next episode. And
Yeah,
now we know how to share a screen, right? So we're good. I love it. So much more beneficial to see it, because seeing is believing. And I'm glad we're able to add it to the show. So, Rebecca Grotte, tell us how we can reach you again.
Rebecca at avondaledesignstudio.com,
Perfect.
and my website's www.avondaledesignstudio.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Exciting to have you, and exciting to actually see, on that screen, the process, how it works with an interior designer. Space planning, yay, 101. Thank you for the lesson today, and looking forward to our
Yeah.
next podcast.
All right, thank
Thank you,
you.
Rebecca. Have a great day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.